Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you guys are located in the world. My name is Al Ditton. I'm with Underground Noise Webzine. This is Webisode number 45. Please hit that subscribe button. As some of you may know, I have a surprise guest this morning, and this is my surprise guest, everybody. Strap yourselves in. Smoke a bowl, smoke a cigarette, smoke a joint, smoke a blunt, drink a beer, take a shot, whatever you have to do just to get yourselves prepared. I'm here with the legend himself, one of the original members left of the legendary death metal band, Paul Mazurkiewicz. Welcome, Paul. How's it going today,
Hey,
dude?
I'm doing well. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for letting me have a portion of your time today.
Sure, no problem.
Awesome. First question I would like to ask you, Paul, is who are your influences?
Well, that goes way back, of course, when you start playing drums and listening to music and all that kind of stuff. And, if we're talking music and getting into it back in the day, the first band I was ever into was Kiss back in the 70s, being a young lad growing up, of course. And, that had a huge impact on me. Moving forward, just wanting to play music, to be in a band, and to really obsess over a band. That was them. And then you get older, things start developing, musical tastes and influences in certain instruments and all that. But if we're going to get down to the modern day thing, um, the bands we grew up with that we were loving and back in the early 80s, like Metallica and of course Slayer being a huge one. And for me, I always go back to, people ask me that, or if they ask me like who's my got me into drumming or my drumming influences, I would have to say Neil Peart from Rush, an incredible drummer, of course, everybody knows. I mean, there's no need to say anymore, right? And then same thing with Dave Lombardo from Slayer. He was the one that really made me want to play what I do today, I guess. When I heard, especially when I heard Rain and Blood for the first time, I mean, being fans of Slayer at that point already, with Show No Mercy, Haunting the Chapel being out, and Hell Awaits, and great albums. We loved Slayer. We're worshiping them at that point. But Rain and Blood comes out, and the band and Dave just took it to a whole nother level. And I never forget hearing that for the first time and just going, wow, this is what I want to try to emulate. This kind of drumming, this style. I mean, it blew me away, more so than anything I've ever heard up to that point. So so he would be the biggest influence for me as a drummer. But like I said, all these bands that we grew up with in the 80s, all the metal bands that get you to the point of wanting to play music or to start playing music and to be in a band, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, all those kind of bands, and the hard rock that was going on in the late 70s. And then exactly, like I said, Metallica, Slayer, all that kind of stuff, Creator. I mean, huge influences for me and for the guys, and for, I guess, pretty much anybody back in those days that were starting out, getting into music and getting into the heavy stuff, because it was that transitional period. So, but Lombardo.
Very cool. I was going to ask you, it's also a part two question. What bands got you into death metal drumming?
Well, there you go. I mean, it was, that was we Lombardo, all those thrash bands, because we're products of the 80s and the thrash movement. As a teenager, when I first get my drum set at 16 or whatever, that was back in, what, 85, 84. And there's obviously not in the way of death metal really at that point, so it's the heavy music that we are listening to and are into, like Metallica and Slayer and bands like that, Sacrifice. A lot of the crossover, DRI and COC and The Accused and Creator, Sodom, and Dark Angel. I mean, those were the bands that were our influences, and we were using those bands as templates, to move forward. And then when we're riding the wave, little few years later, becoming a band ourselves, Cannibals formed in December of '88, and we're forming our own identity, doing our own thing. But yes, now you got a little bit more of that heavier stuff coming to light, like bands like Obituary and Death. But I remember hearing Altars of Madness for the first time. I think we recorded the first album already or right around that time, and then hearing Pete Sandoval play drums, it was just like, whoa, that was, that was groundbreaking, and that was taking it to obviously a whole nother level. Albeit we were a band already, and but we're still influenced by what's around us, and still trying to develop our own style. And like I said, riding this wave of what's to become, I guess, death metal, really. So so any of that stuff that was around in that time, but hearing, like I said, Morbid for the first time, hearing Altars and Pete playing was just, wow, that was, was something that was taking like, say, Lombardo to the next level. And he was instrumental in the whole scene, and definitely pushed me along to want to try to play faster and all that kind of thing. So
That's a very good answer. Reason why I ask it because the first band that I ever heard that was, death metal to me at the time was Mortification, the album called Scrolls of the Megaloth. And then I heard Suffocation and Cannibal Corpse when I was in high school.
cool.
I was like, wow, this is something I could really get into. So basically, it changed my life completely.
Well, it usually does with most people, doesn't it? So
yeah,
it's that powerful, right?
That's right. The earlier you get into it, the more you'll stick with it. What was it like being on the set of Ace Ventura?
Oh, it was great, man. A lot of fun. I mean, what a big experience that was for us, of course. I mean, just kids from Buffalo, and the band's still relatively new. We got a couple of albums out at that point. We're doing well for ourselves, and then and then something like that comes out of the blue, when you're not expecting it. I mean, crazy to be in a movie like that, of course, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a great experience. You can't say enough good things about it. I mean, being a part of, Jim's rise at that point, and his first feature film, and, that we're wanted on this set, he wanted us there, and we felt we were treated like kings, basically. We were only there for 2 days, or we were there for 4 days. We're on set for 2 days, but it was so much fun. I mean, what an experience, to see all that behind the scenes kind of stuff, how a movie's made, and then just to be a part of that, and then of course for the movie to do so well. And a lot of people get into death metal because of the movie, or Cannibal Corpse and all that. It was just an all around great experience.
One thing that I've noticed about that movie is that the TV version, it shows you guys playing a longer set in that scene. But on the movie version, it's a little bit shortened. I'm not sure why it turned out that way. I guess it was just the editing.
Yeah, that's what happens, I mean, things happen, I guess, in editing, and a lot of stuff ends up on the cutting room floor. And we were fortunate and lucky that those scenes made it into the network version, because exactly when we went to go see the movie, and we knew we filmed all this stuff, right? And then you go see it for the first time like everybody else, and you're in the theater, and what was in the movie was great. I mean, we're just happy to be in this movie, and we're like, wow. But then movie's over, and you're going, oh man, they obviously cut all this extra, stuff that we thought was funny and awesome, so be it, whatever. And then exactly when the network version comes out, and I guess they got to add filler because of commercials and all this. And it's almost like a different movie, which is crazy, because it's not just our scenes that were added. It was a bunch of different scenes that weren't in the theatrical release. So, so it was cool to have that other scene in there, because I mean, it's hilarious, right? Jim's on stage, and I mean, doing his thing. So it was a pleasant surprise, and I'm sure everybody enjoys it as much as we do, having that available, and that they, it saw the light of day, and it didn't end up gone forever. So yeah, pretty cool.
He does a good impersonation of Napalm Death with Arsenio Hall.
Yeah, he does.
Whoever it was that was interviewing him, I think it was
Right.
Arsenio.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I have. That's funny stuff. Yeah, funny stuff.
I just caught it a few years back, and I'm like, what the hell am I watching? This is too good.
Yeah, well, Jim's a funny guy. He's a funny guy.
Absolutely. Well, my next question for you, Paul, is what is it like playing extreme drumming after all these years?
Yeah, it's what you wanted to do for your whole life. I mean, it's an amazing feeling just to be still in this band, to be relevant, to be moving forward, to be arguably on top of our game, doing the best we've ever have, all those kinds of things. I mean, who would have thought we'd be doing it 33 years later? So, it's it's pretty remarkable. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty insane. All those kinds of adjectives, or it's just you. And like I said, never thought you'd be doing it still at this point in life. When you first start out. So it's not getting any easier. Of course, the older you get, and the harder it becomes. In a sense, you got to work harder. You got to push, keep moving, and keeping the stamina going, and keeping on form more so than ever. But man, it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it could be worse things we could be doing. I could be doing. I mean, this is, like I said, this is what we've dreamed of doing, and we're living our dream. And the fact, like I said, that we're still doing it this late in our lives and our career is incredible. And who would have thought? And so I think we just take it day by day at this point, and have fun. And as long as we're doing that, then we feel everything's good. And when it becomes more of a burden, when it becomes starting to be like hurtful, and we're tired and we can't do it anymore, well then maybe it's time to call it. But until that day comes, I mean, it's just take it day by day, and just do what we've been doing, and enjoying ourselves, and enjoying the run. And it's been amazing, man. So can't complain.
How do you maintain your energy?
Well, you just got to keep practicing. You got to do the normal things in life that I think you need to do to sustain being healthy and just active as a human, as a person. Try to eat right, you exercise, you get sleep, stay hydrated. I mean, all those basic things that are very important. And then yeah, you got to practice. I play a lot. If I don't play a lot, then miss a day or a couple of days, you really notice the difference at this point in life. So just do all those basics, and just practice a lot, and stay active, and still play ice hockey. That probably helps a little bit. And I was always been an active person regardless. So I'm always on my feet, and I'm always moving around doing something. So I think that's important.
That was one of my next questions for you is, do you still enjoy playing ice hockey?
Of course. I mean, that's part of me. It's an amazing game. I mean, I think anybody that plays a sport in general, and if you've been doing it as long as say I have, or what have you, it's a part of you. I've been playing since I was 5, and I'll never not play. My father skated until he was 70, playing with the boys and all that. And I look at myself as kind of being the same way. As long if I'm walking, I'm able to move, I'm able to lace them up, I'm going to get out there. I mean, it's just it's a great pastime. It's a greit's sport. It's it's just great for the mind, great for the body, and I love it, man. So be playing as much and as long as I can.
That's very, very cool. My next question is, can you tell me more about your upcoming European tour, including Brutal Assault? Are there any places that you haven't seen?
Well, there's always we've been from pretty much everywhere, of course, yes. But there's always places we haven't been to and we haven't seen. But at this point, we just take what's coming to us, where the booking agent tells us we're going, and all that kind of thing. And right, we leave Monday for this tour on August 8th here, and the first show's August 10th, Brutal Assault in Czech Republic. And it's a great festival. We've played it a few times, and we're looking forward to it. Really, really cool. And it's a small run, which is good, I guess, in a sense. Only 10 shows. We haven't been to Europe in a few years. Actually, it's been 3 years, which is kind of crazy to think. But we got 10 shows coming up, starting with Brutal Assault. Play some few other festivals, Germany and Finland and Holland and Belgium. And we do have 2 headlining shows in Poland, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. Like I said, haven't been to Europe in 3 years, and albeit a short run, but some pretty big festivals we're doing. So should be a lot of fun.
That does sound like it's going to be a fun time. Absolutely. Okay, what countries have you never played in?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot we haven't played in. I mean, mostly everywhere in Europe, of course. I mean, we've only been to Africa once. That was in South Africa. We've been on every continent other than Antarctica. So there's a few that we haven't played out in the East. The Pacific Rim. We've done China and Thailand and Taiwan and we've never been to, like, say, Singapore or anything like that. I mean, there's probably a few others. We've been to India, so it's yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I guess most of the countries we haven't been to are in Africa. I would guess, because we've been pretty much everywhere else. So it's been incredible that we can, the band can take us to these places over our career. I mean, comes down to another thing, how we talked about earlier, just being around this long and still playing 33 years. Um, just the amount of places we've been to. I mean, it's unbelievable. If it wasn't for the band, we wouldn't have seen any of these places. So feel very fortunate and lucky to have played a lot of these countries, and at least once. So so we'll see what happens. Maybe there's going to be there'll be a few that we've never been to that we'll play in the future. Maybe not. Who knows? But if it all ends tomorrow, we can be happy that we saw what we did and we've been to the places we have been. So pretty remarkable as well.
That pretty much answers my next question. What's going to be, do you still enjoy touring after all these years?
A little tougher. I mean, I'd be lying to say I'm, gung ho on it like exactly we were when we started out. I mean, when you're starting out, it's all fresh and new, and you've never been to any of these places, and then now you go to, say, Europe, and it's second nature, in a lot of ways, because you've been there so many times, and it's a little tougher. I think the older you get, and in my instance, I have my daughter's 16. I live with her, and hate leaving her. Of course, I mean, it is what I do. She understands. I understand. That's just part of life. But at the same time, I hate having to leave her. So you get used to being home a lot, and like I said, we've done it, so it's nothing new in a sense. So but it is our, you gotta, end of the day, you gotta look and, okay, well, this is what I wanted to do, like I talked about earlier, and this is, we're happy to do this. It could be worse things to do, and we're still having fun playing. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's really, the travel's not the greatest, and being away from home and all that, but as soon as you hit the stage and you're playing in front of the fans and they're there to see you, I mean, that's why you do it, right? So it is, gets a little more tedious and a little more, tough, I guess. But at the same time, you make do, and this is what we do, and you do it. So, either way, life goes on, and we'll have great shows. We always do. We always have great tours, and it's just a matter of sucking it up and getting it done.
This might sound like an odd question. How does your daughter feel about death metal? Does she like
She don't. Nah, she don't care. She likes some heavy music, but she don't like really death metal. She doesn't, she finds the vocals to be too abrasive and all that. She told me once that, because I played her a couple instrumentals, and say, hey, we got a couple instrumentals, and she heard those, and she goes, oh well, if it was like that all the time, or with no singing, I don't mind it, and and so I understand. I mean, it's not for everybody. That's death metal. It's not for the masses for the most part, and but she does like some heavy stuff. But yeah, death metal is just a little too much for her.
Totally understandable. That's how I feel about my stepson. He's like, how can you listen to that stuff? How can you understand what they're saying? I said, well, there's lyrics for a reason. You read it while you
Mhm.
listen to it. That way you can understand it
Yeah,
better.
yeah, exactly. But it's not for everybody. So that's the great thing about music. There's
That's
so
right.
much out there, and so much for everybody. So teach their own.
Absolutely. Well, my next question for you is, how would you describe the death metal scene compared to from right now compared to back then?
I mean, it's going. I mean, it seems like it's always going. There's always new bands coming up, which is great. We need that. So, I mean, it seems to be probably stronger than ever, I would think. I don't know. I don't follow it too much these days. I do. I know what we do, and that's primarily what I know. But you hear about these bands, these up and comers, and that they're doing well. And we played with a few of these. We just did that 6 shows with Sing with Sugabog, and 200 Stab Wounds, young bands, and there seems to be a good buzz about them and everything. And it's just cool that there's that's out there, bringing back some of the old school sound and all that. And we need that for the future moving forward. The bands that have been around, like ourselves and Deicide and Suffocation and whatever Morbid, Obituary. At some point, those bands are going to be gone, right? It's just inevitable, and you need somebody to keep the scene alive, keep it going here. So it seems to be doing well. I mean, our tours are doing great so far and always have been, and a lot of people coming to the other bands, death metal shows, that play Dying Fetus, all that, and so it seems to be thriving, which is great.
Before I forget, I forgot to mention to people, please subscribe to my channel if you don't mind. Share with your friends and like it. Comment if you feel like it. And also, Paul, Lee Harrison told me to tell you hey and what's up.
Oh, cool. Tell Lee I said what's up. Yeah, hopefully I run into him. I haven't seen him in a while. Go figure. We live in the same city, but saw him a couple, maybe about a year ago or something. But I know when he was drumming with Inhuman Condition, they played in Tampa. That'd have probably been the last time I saw him. So, but if you talk to him, tell him I said hello.
I definitely will. He's been a good friend to me for 13 years now.
Nice. Awesome. Great. He's a great guy. Great drummer.
One of the best, including yourself. You guys are goats.
I appreciate it, man. But yeah, no, Lee's awesome, man. He's a great drummer.
My next question for you would be, what song or songs do you find to be the most difficult to play by Cannibal?
Well, I mean, a lot of the new stuff is pretty challenging. All of it, I guess, is for the most part. But you only play a handful of songs these days, obviously, out of our whole catalog. I mean, it's not like I know every song or can play every song. I mean, none of us. I mean, that's just too much. So you got your live set, you got your handful of 20, 25 songs that we usually do, or we play 18 live, so you got some in and out of rotation here and there, but you're always obviously having to add new songs when you put a new record out, and then maybe those songs fall to the wayside upon release of the next record or whatever. For instance, we play the three that we're doing off the new record, which I find to be very challenging on the drumming department. The hardest one would be for me right now would be Condemnation Contagion. That's just it's a very difficult song to pull off, and a lot of fills going on, a lot of different timings, a lot of stuff I'm not used to doing that I had to learn, and I do it. I got it. That was an Eric Rutan song, and I'm learning basically the drum patterns that he came up with. That's how a lot of the Cannibals written these days, especially with Alex and Eric having their own drum parts that I'm having to to learn basically, which is fine. Keeps it fresh, keeps it interesting. It's stuff I can do, but maybe it's some things that I wouldn't have thought of. So it takes me maybe a little extra longer to comprehend, to get under my belt, and all this. And but yeah, Condemnation's a tough one. So that would be out of the just looking at the live set now. Out of the 18 we do, that would be the most difficult. I find like maybe the older stuff to be a little bit more easy, just the fact that it's a little more primitive. It's not as crazy. The arrangements weren't as involved maybe as they are today in the latter years of the band. So but yeah, most of the new stuff in the last 3 or 4 albums is pretty challenging overall. But like I said, a lot of that ends up getting, you put a new record out, and then some of the songs that were, say, on the last record that you might have played, maybe not in the set anymore. But right now it'd have to be Condemnation Contagion.
That is a brutal one for sure. Slaps me in the face so hard that I just can't stop jamming it.
That's a good one. It's a great song for sure.
One of my favorites by far. Of course,
nice.
all of your songs are my favorites.
Well, cool, man. Good to hear. That's what we want to hear.
I would have to say that the biggest crowd pleaser would be Hammer Smash Face, which you guys always end with.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, that's our biggest song from the catalog, of course, and always fun to play it. I mean, the fans are waiting to hear it and want to hear it, and it is a fun song to play. So that's good, because it never gets old, it never gets boring, all that kind of thing. So it's a staple in the set, and it always will be. It has to be, really. It's like I said, our biggest song. So a lot of fun.
And it's super catchy too, because you hear that opener like dun 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 dun, 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 dun. And it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's it. People are waiting for that, right?
Yeah, gotta wait till the last minute, but if you leave the show too soon, that's on you.
Hey, I mean, stinks if they have to leave, but hopefully you don't.
That's right. Well, my next question for you, Paul, would be, what can you tell me about Umbilicus and Heaven's Gate?
Well, Umbilicus, for when I don't know when this video interview gets released, but today we just released a new song from Umbilicus, a new video just came out this morning, called Gates of Neptune. But that's a whole part of the package here because yeah, Umbilicus is a project I've been working on. We've been working on for the last couple of years. Our debut album comes out at the end of next month, at the end of September, I believe September 30th, called Path of a Thousand Suns. And this Gates of Neptune I talk about would be the third single we just released. It's a project that I'm very, very excited for, very proud of. I mean, it's been in my body, in my soul, kind of like rock and roll. I mean, that's really my passion for the last, say, 25 years. It's just kind of going back to my roots. And I just love music from the late 60s, early 70s, throughout the 70s into the 80s, like that, just rock and roll kind of stuff. And this is what we're trying to emulate with Umbilicus. And we wrote 10 we feel to be great songs. And I just can't wait for the masses to to hear it, for for the album to be out. Like it seems to be getting some good responses so far. So we'll see what happens. It's having fun. Obviously, it's a side project. Taylor Nordberg is in the band as well, who before he was already in The Absence and in Human Condition and a couple other bands, and then Umbilicus is formed, and then now he joins Deicide. And so particularly myself and him are busy, obviously, with our bands here. So this is a side project that we'll see what happens. I mean, if good things come about, we would love to tour. We'd love to play some shows and all that kind of thing. And we'll see. But having fun, man. It's all about having fun and enjoying the music and sitting back and grooving out. And I love it, man. I really think we got some cool stuff. So yeah, so check out Umbilicus. I think we're on you can go pre-order our album on umbilicusband.bandcamp.com, I believe it is. And it comes out September 30th. Can't wait for everybody to hear the full thing. So that's exciting. And then, Heaven's Gate came out of nowhere as well, with jamming with Tony from Municipal Waste and two other great guys. I mean, awesome guys. Mike from Warthog, and bass player Jeff from Horsewhip. And these guys are living in St. Petersburg, and doing pretty well for themselves in their bands. But another project, Tony wanted to start something new and different, and got a hold of me, and that came about I guess about almost a year ago now. And we started writing some songs. And you probably know a little bit that we released the one song, Jerusalem Syndrome, a couple weeks ago. Played our debut shows here in Tampa, well, not in Tampa, in St. Pete, and the first show was in Gainesville, Florida. But soon, that's also on Bandcamp as well. I think that's just Heaven's Gate. I'm not sure the heading for but you can get the song there. And soon the album will be out. It's not really an album. I mean, it'll probably be pressed on vinyl and all that, more of like an EP, you would say. We recorded 5 songs, and shorter songs, of course, so it's not a lot of material like the Umbilicus being a full album, 10 songs. I think it's going to clock in at least 45 minutes. With the Heaven's Gate is more of 5 songs. I think maybe about 10 minutes of material. And we're still working on stuff, but we really want to just record to get something out there and all that, to get the ball rolling. So we got a couple other gigs coming up at the end of September, one in Tampa, one in Daytona. And being it's a side project as well, like Umbilicus, we have to work around schedules and everything with Tony and myself and the other guys. So we'll see what happens with that. Exactly, just another thing of having fun. I mean, you heard the one song. There's footage of us if you go to YouTube, punch in Heaven's Gate, live. There's some good footage of us playing those last 2 shows, and you can hear all the material. And it's just fun, old school, kind of punky thrash kind of stuff. I mean, really kind of brings me back to the roots we talked about earlier of my influences and everything, and being into DRI and the Accused, and the thrash. This is kind of what we're going for basically with this project. So man, I'm just having fun with both, man, and we'll see what happens. And if anything happens, cool. Like said, Infinity touring happens with either of those bands, great. But you know what? If not, we're just having fun. We wrote some cool songs. They're here forever. Once you record them and you get them out to the world and make your mark. So yeah, you only live once. That's my adage as well at this point too. When both of these projects came up, it's like, why not, right? I'm already busy enough with Cannibal. It's not like I needed anything more on my plate. But at the same time, you only live once. Why not do it while you can? Because tomorrow might not be there, or you wait another 20 years or something. Again, I'm going to be able to do projects like this. Who knows? Be a little tougher at that point, but so we'll see what happens with both. But yeah, check them out, Umbilicus and Heaven's Gate. Some two very different bands, and two very very different bands in Cannibal. But but I'm having a great time with all three, of course.
That's very, very cool. Well, Zoom just gave me the warning that I've only got 6.5 minutes left with you, but
All right.
I do have a few other quick questions for you. What's it like having Eric Rutan in Cannibal?
Oh, it's great, man. He's such a great guy and such a great positive force, and an amazing guitar player. I mean, you can't say enough great things about the guy. I mean, he's amazing. Obviously, we've known him a long time, since way back in the day, and then him producing the record since Kill, other than Skeletal Domain. So he's been a part of the band in that way for many years. And then of course we've done a lot of touring with him with Hate Eternal and everything. And then yes, finally to be a part of the band has just been amazing. He's such a great creative force, and like I said, what a great guitar player, great guy. I mean, he's everything is just can't say anything bad about the guy. I mean, he's just such a workhorse, such a workaholic, and he pushes you to be better as a person, as a musician, and all that kind of thing. So great to have him, man. Really, really great to have him. It's been awesome.
That is awesome. Well, let's see here. The next question I have for you: is there a new Cannibal Corpse album in the works? And if so, what can you tell me about it?
No, I can't say anything about any of that. We're just to work. We're concentrating on touring right now, and that's all we can do. Since we missed missed a bunch of touring, of course, opportunities, I should say. And obviously having to release Violence Unimagined later than it should have came out, and then having to commence touring later. So we're just focusing on playing right now. And get back into that mode. Now, I mean, really, when you look at it, we've only done 2 tours for Violence Unimagined. It's been out over a year, so we still got plenty of touring to do for that. And but hey, the way we work, I mean, it's no mystery. If we're active, what's our usual plan? Right? We have an album, we tour, we do another album, we tour, and that's just what we've been doing our career. So I'm sure that'll be part of the future as well.
That's very sweet. Do you know how to play any other instrument other than drums?
Yeah, I started playing guitar actually when I was younger, and that was my first instrument. And I played, for a little bit there. I took some formal lessons. I think it was like maybe 12, and I took lessons for like 6 months. It's crazy. I remember I look back. I have the books that I did, like what are the Melbay books or whatever. And I used to be able to read some music. I can't read music to save my life right now, or guitar or anything. And then I looked and I go, wow, I was able to read this and play this. This is what the hell. It's a different lifetime, it seems, and then I stopped playing in that sense. But I always had a guitar I fiddled on. I mean, I wrote a lot of stuff for my first band, for Tyrant Sin, back when in the 80s, when we had that pre-Cannibal. I was writing a lot of guitar, I was playing more. And then I actually did write a couple riffs in the early Cannibal days. I wrote I collaborated. I think Jack may have kind of altered it a hair, but I wrote the beginning of I Come Blood, and I wrote the beginning riff in Gutted. and then my guitar playing has totally waned, and I haven't been playing hardly at all. But back when what we did Kill, I remember going, you know what, I want to try to write a song on guitar, and I did. I wrote "Submerged in Boiling Flesh." That's all me, just playing the guitar. I didn't record it or anything like that, and I actually had to couldn't even play the song all the way through. I had to kind of go riff by riff to shows, to show. I guess it was Rob, like, hey, this is this is how the song's going to go. And so that was actually pretty fun, to sit back and to write a whole song, and for it, and the guys to not mind it and go, yeah, put it on the record. So I ended up doing two. I did Submersion Boiling Flesh on Kill, and then I wrote Carrion Sculpted Entity on Visceration Plague, and I did it the same way, just sitting down writing old school, to me, with the riffs and arranging the song myself and all that. So it was a lot of fun, man. But since then I really haven't touched the guitar much, which is kind of unfortunate. I maybe need to pick it up again one of these days. But it's just so cool to be a part of it in a different way, to have a couple songs that I can say I wrote for Cannibal. Pretty cool.
That is cool. I really like that. I had no idea, but now I know. Knowing's half the battle, according to Jimmy Joe.
There you go. You're
the other
so
half
true.
is surviving every day.
That's right.
All right, I got two last questions for you.
Sure.
Okay, my second to last question is: after the show Eats Moscow Alive, before the credits, you hear Alex backstage yell "kill." Do you think he was predicting a future Cannibal Corpse album?
I guess it's possible, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Who knows?
that's how I took it, because I watch Eats Moscow Alive just like every other day on YouTube. I'm just like, I can't get enough of this. Chris sounded awesome now, or back then. But now I listen to Chris's voice, I'm like, wow, dude, you might want to hold your hits in of your weed a little bit less long.
Yeah, it's a little different, that's for sure. But
I'm
getting
not
back,
picking on him, but
yeah. Well, but getting back to the Kill thing, I mean, that's a good analogy. So, I guess I'd have to ask Alex. I would imagine he'd probably tell you no, that it wasn't a precursor, but you never know, right?
that's right. Well, my last question, Paul. Any last words for Underground Noise Webzine?
Just thanks for the interview. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the fans of death metal and Cannibal Corpse out there. And,